Welcome back, and let's start to paint. So take your big oval or round brush, whatever you have, and let's start to put down with a very simple way, just the basic large shapes with the approximately with the right color. So not much thinking, just loose and free and happy. If you try to do it perfect, it won't be happy or loose. So use kind of lighter shades so we can correct later with darker. And the idea is, so we started on dry paper and just without any drawings, so just try to develop the whole view at the same time. So always go for the most missing big shapes. Of course, in the beginning it's everything, but eventually we'll end up that we're just looking where is the next thing bother our eye and just touch there, and then we go to the next thing. So this will be we're starting on dry, so it's wet on dry, but we are not waiting for drying the layers. Some will dry no matter what, but some not. So there will be part of the painting which is wet on wet, which you can already see with a darker blue and a green, they flowing to each other, but that's not a problem. That's actually good because we want a happy, loose, flowy painting. You can go back and forth between your smaller or larger brushes in this case, especially because many elements are line like here. So there are a lot of line drawing with a brush, like the stem of the fern leaves or the flower, even more line like than big color surfaces. So we can go back and forth stick and thin brush in this case because putting down a lot of lines we will need to use a thinner brush. So now I sketch out almost everything beside the tall elements, so I try to make the label for them too. Just very simple. If you don't like easy, just wash back. This is what I will do. I will, where the flower crossing them, these stems, I will just use a wet clean brush with the water and wash it back. And if I want, not leave the paper wet there because I want to work dry on wet with the flowers, for example, I just dried up with a paper towel. So you see, I'm not really going leaf by leaves. I'm just labeling everything, just the main things. Just put a loose label for everything you see. I really like to work from real view, but if you don't have a plant you wanna work on, just use the photo on the right side. I prefer always live. So as I mentioned, in this painting I use the live view of the plant. I just took this photo afterwards. I was done to as a helper. So you saw I'm loosening up the stem just where the flower will cross them and remove the sharp edges with the paper towel. You can also use your eye to view your painting and then up, back and forth to the photo or your plant, and you will see where it's the missing deepness of a color, or a very off color, or a very missing color surface. So just compare. Also very useful to squint with your eye to both, and you can see, for example, if you use very uniform tones, so you're not using enough dark and light shades, which is in the beginning is a good thing. It's better to start and build up from light to dark. But at that point you can start to add darkness to given places, not everywhere, because then everything will be dark and it will be way too uniform again. So just try to get the darkness of the given colors right. So I'm just sketching out some of the flowers, not too detailed, just approximately. This is a loose painting. You just want to catch with the brush the characteristic of the lines you see on the right side or on your plant. So on the other side, just few flowers open. So I just draw a few on the bottom, and then it's more like buds. So at this point I don't have too much darker tones, so I can start to build up darkness here and there where it's missing, but don't touch the light area, just leave them light. I mean, you can retouch, but not with deeper color. So I'm just using the small brush very loosely to draw. It's like sketching up things with the brush. You can see in the middle there are a lot of flowing and colors going to each other, and also you can see a lot of blooming of the watercolor, or cauliflower, or washback. I don't know what name is more used or known. These are the names I heard. When water or wet paint pushing the other color on a side. You can see on the middle, especially where wet on wet technique more present. So you see I'm adding more depth on darker areas. It starts to give you the 3D view. So actually this painting part will be in two separate video, but it's good to not stop between the two. I think it's better to just go and go all the way, because when things dry up, things behave different. It's not I'm saying that it's wrong to stop and go back in an hour or two. It just will be a very different experience, because you start then on a completely dry situation. And this is the way how you remove. So this is a good Archie's paper. You can remove a lot. So you just add water with a clean brush, and then you can wipe it off. Most of the paint can easily wipe it off, especially in the beginning. So there is a lot of possibility to change at that point. Everything very fluid, very changing. Also, why I'm not suggesting to go into much details, because it will flow, and you work with some details and you think it will stay that way. No, it won't. Usually it's because things wet around and we working kind of fast and loose, it will change. it's only stable when you work on dry surface. But it's still, even that point, it's changed within the drying process, but not as much as when things wet around and things can flow to each other. So you see I'm adding darkness, depthness on places and correcting. You can correct the shape at this point because you started with the lighter tones, so you just redraw. Also, I suggest not to get the color from the paint right away, but just, let's say you look, I don't know, these leaves. You take a leaves and you just compare with the photo or the reality and say, okay, the leaves is darker, but then you can ask the question, and what way it's darker, like more bluish or more, I don't know, more reddish? And so you can put a layer of that color on it directly, so you don't need to mix it up with a green in your paint. Just use the most clean colors as possible from your paint. Don't premix them. So just modify the already existing color surface with another color. And this is how you get them deeper and deeper. And if it gets too red, let's say, you add either at that point or later you add another layer of green. It's fine. In watercolor, almost every color will deepen the tone. So even if you add yellow, it will be darker, not lighter, unless it's a very, very non-transparent color. I don't know how it's called. It's a very, very like charcoal-like color. Then it can make it lighter, but most watercolor are very transparent or semi-transparent. So I'm taking now a very thin brush, but you can just use the tip of your brush and put a lot of line works done, like the stems of the fan leaves, and there are many lines here, line-like structure.